Hi there, I'm Kumar Garg from Schmidt Futures. At Schmidt Futures, we bet early on exceptional people making the world better. This means we look for the most talented people from around the globe, knit them together in networks, and deploy them to tackle the most pressing challenges of our time. One of the core areas in which we do this is in the field of learning engineering, which seeks to use advances in computer science, learning science, and data to put education on a rapid and continuous improvement cycle. This video series is meant to give you a general introduction to learning engineering. Now, the practice of learning engineering is important because even as the tech industry has boomed during COVID-19, we still don't really know what works and when and for whom. Part of the problem is what I call the silver bullets problem, the search for one big idea, the one strategy that's going to make education work for all of our children. My personal view is that this search for silver bullets, even when we know better, happens because we just don't have a culture of sustainable and continuous improvement education, where researchers can help education designers iterate quickly, learn from their previous experiments, and contribute to insights across the field of learning sciences and put them to work. But I think there are signs that a different future is possible. And one of the things we at Schmidt Futures are hoping to build the field of learning engineering. Now, there's many different definitions of learning engineering out there, but the part of it that we focus on is really the use of computer science to pursue rapid experimentation and continuous improvement with the ultimate goal of improving student learning outcomes. The learning engineering approach is critical, we think, because the traditional process to test and establish the efficacy of new ideas in education is just too long and too expensive. Even today, learning science research remains too slow, too small scale, and data poor compared to other scientific fields. The result is that teachers and administrators often don't have access to the proven tools nor the research in hand to make informed decisions about how to teach. Further complicating the issue is that learning is a complex domain that takes place in a highly varied context. It can be difficult to isolate the variables that make the difference for so many individual students and teachers, and the unique classroom environments that have a variety of socioeconomic, cultural, and locational settings. So experts don't know how much we need of what and why it works and for whom and in what context. Take just the example of interleaved practice or mixing up problem sets while learning. There's research into middle school math that has established that students learn better when their research is interleaved, meaning students, when they practice a mix of new concepts, do better. But it's still an open research question as to how far this principle extends. Should we do interleaved practice for reading comprehension? Should we do it in social studies? Should we do it for younger math students if it works for older math students? And how does it matter based on previous student performance? These are big questions that actually matter for whether we can use this research insight. And this lack of knowledge for testing that idea in a variety of contexts has important consequences for education and in general and for EdTech specifically, because we spend far too much money, time, and energy not knowing the answers and just trying and not learning from our experiments. Learning engineering aims to understand these complex answers and present an opportunity for us to create better learning experiences for our students over time. I first became interested in learning engineering when I was working in the Obama White House. Working on education in a science office, I observed three things. The first is that we spend far too little on education research as a country. By some estimates, less than 0.1% of all education funding goes to R&D. And that just means that we're not taking enough shots on goal. The potato chip industry is 3% of sales as a comparison. The second is that our ambitions for education research are mostly just focused on efficacy, asking, does it work? But not really on breakthrough innovation, on how we can really improve what we're doing. And the third is that we're just not doing enough to make education research faster, easier, or bigger, even as other academic disciplines are rapidly accelerating the pace of their work. So practically speaking, learning engineering is really about three processes: systematically collecting data as users interact with a platform, tool, or procedure, while of course protecting student privacy. The second is analyzing that collected data to make more and better educated guesses about what leads to better learning outcomes. And third, iterating based on this data to improve that platform, tool, or procedure for better learning outcomes. Now, this might sound obvious to you, but I will reassure you that this is not happening nearly enough. But there are some leading organizations that are already engaged in learning engineering practices. Rapidly growing companies like Duolingo run hundreds of large-scale learning experiments in a year, and they don't just guess about what's working. Or take Neil Heffernan and assessments, which has shown that crowdsourcing hints from teachers can have a statistically significant positive impact on student learning outcomes. And that's just one of many experiments Neil is running, and how Neil is opening up assessments to a range of experiments by researchers that's helping him and also advance the field. So in these following videos, we'll go over some of the basics of learning engineering. And with the help of leading experts in the field, we'll share some insights on how you can build a culture and infrastructure for continuous improvement at your organization and in your learning tool, and how both platforms and researchers can develop these effective partnerships. And we'll think about how the edtech market can facilitate this as an overall ecosystem of collaboration through both data and instrumented platforms. I hope you'll join us in this journey, and looking forward to working with you.